Our next presenter is Kristen Stocks with Kids Boosts. Do you want this or do you want to have it? Okay. You ready? All right, your 5 minutes begins now.
So the one thing that I've known about myself my entire life is that I could not wait to become a mom. Even when I was teeny tiny, I would dream about being a mom one day. So you can imagine how excited I was when I found out I was pregnant. I sat on my bathroom floor and I cried tears of joy. And I wrote my unborn child a note at that time, and it's up here. I put, "My hope and prayer is to raise you to be loving, kind, and generous. Generous with your time, your talent, and your money." So fast forward about 5 years from that moment, and that little booger went to kindergarten. And a lot had changed in that 5 years. We went through a lot of tragedy. I became a single mom, and I also tragically lost my mother very suddenly in those 5 years. But in this world of chaos that felt a little incomplete, the one thing that really continued to ring true was my desire to raise my son to be generous. And so we started looking out there. What can we do to give back? What can we do together? And we couldn't find much. There's not much out there for kids just to be good people. So that was problem number one. And about the same time, I worked at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as a child life specialist. And I met a patient. His name was Jared. And he was about 12 years old, and he had a life-threatening accident, and he wanted to do something to thank Children's for saving his life. But he didn't just want to pass out crayons or collect movies. He wanted something meaningful, but we couldn't figure out what to do. It took us forever to figure something out. So that was problem number two. And about that same time, that sweet little kindergartner came running in the door one day after school, and he said, "Mom, I need $50. And I said, "Why do you need $50? And he said, "Well, if I run laps at school and you give me $50, I get a light-up ball." And as a mom, I knew exactly what this was. This was the school fundraiser, which I love. However, when I asked him, "Where's your money going?" he said, "I don't know." And I thought, problem number three. And so I sat there and I had this idea. What if there was a program out there for kids just to be good people, to use what they love, their time, their talents, to make the world a better place? What if we gave the kids a voice? And that was the start of Kids Boost. So I sat on this idea for years, but I had all sorts of fears. I was a single mom. I had no money. I didn't even know anybody with money. What if I fail? What if everybody hates this idea? But just as quickly as those doubts were hitting me, my heart kept screaming at me, "You've got to do this. You've got to do this." And I always coined myself Practical Polly. I was kind of that boring girl, did the same thing. So after 15 years of working at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, I quit my management job, and I took a crazy leap of faith and started Kids Boost. So, what is Kids Boost? We are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to empower kids to give, but we do it in a very unique and fun way. So what we do is we give kids $100. Think of it as seed money. We give them a one-on-one coach and resources to help make them successful along the way. At the end of the day, their goal is to turn that $100 into more for a charity of their choice, but by doing it in a way that's unique to them and that's special for them. So every Kids Boost project is different, which is part of the reason why I love Kids Boost, because kids are different. We ask kids, what makes your heart happy? That's the first thing we ask kids. And with those answers, we're able to figure out who they want to give their money to and how they're going to do it. So for instance, we had Natalie. Natalie is 11 years old, and when we asked her, "What makes your heart happy?" she emphatically said cupcakes. So she decided that she was going to do a lot of baking for Blessings in a Backpack, which is an organization that helps get food to kids in need. And so she baked, and at the end of the day, she was able to present a check from us, $1,200 to Blessings in a Backpack. And as she stood there with her ginormous check, she had a huge increase in self-esteem and self-worth, but she learned so many important lessons along the way as well. In just 2 years, Kids Boost has given about $4,100 of general fund donations, and we have turned it into $78,000 for 30 different nonprofits. Thank you. And I think the most exciting part is that number is growing every single day. So you might be wondering, what would we do with this money? And it's really simple. We would invest it. We would invest it in kids, which would in turn invest it in nonprofits. So on an average, for every $1 that we give kids, they've turned that into $19 for nonprofits, for some of you guys that might be sitting in this audience today. So we would invest it. We would meet the needs of these kids, and we would create the next generation of philanthropists and the next generation of plywood people.
Great. Great job. All right, Terrence, what's your question?
If you were to get the $5,000, how would you use it to scale?
Yeah, so right now we have 100 applications sitting on my desk of kids who want to participate. So there is not a shortage of kids, but unfortunately there's a shortage of funds. So we would use that money to give the startup cost, and then our other goal this year is to get into lower income neighborhoods and work with those kids who are typically the recipients of a lot of items and a lot of things that are out there, and we want to give them the opportunity to give back. So every kid starts on the equal playing field regardless of what neighborhood they come into. And so that's one of our goals, is to really look at communities out there that would want the opportunity for their kids to be able to give back just like every other kid.
Thank you so much, Kristen.